We've seen all the bad things that we don't want in our family, and we're born into those. But our friends, we get to filter that out and find the best of what we want.
It's like one of those summer days before it gets really, really hot where you're outside and you're in a tank top and you don't feel the air and you're comfortable. That's what one of those friendships feels like. You don't have to work at it. You don't have to guess what you're doing. You don't have to worry what this person's going to think. You feel in your skin comfortable.
Wherever we are, you can pick up where you left off. And that is a true friend that knows you inside and out, and you don't have to catch up on all the other crap that was going on.
I will never forget that kindness because it's one of the most pivotal moments in my life where I said to myself, wow, she really cares. I didn't want to say how much I really needed the help, and she was there.
Dear Family is a podcast hosted by Rachel Steinman, a writer, an educator, and a mental health advocate. And Rachel gets us up close and personal, so we feel a strong connection, familiarity, and comfort with her guests. So settle in and join us as we search for true healing and journey with Rachel and her most interesting guests.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of Dear Family. I am so excited to bring you this next episode, Dear Friends, You're Like Family. What my pandemic group chat taught me about the importance of friendship on our health and our happiness, and it is so fun. Make sure to stick around because you will learn about why we are each other's crockers, and so much more. And also make sure to join our Dear Family members private Facebook group. The link is in the show notes to see the hilarious penis cake mold memes that launched over 1,000 texts that ended in hysterical laughter. I want to thank you so much for listening and subscribing and sharing Dear Family with your dear friends and your dear family. That word of mouth that you tell a friend about this podcast, it really goes a long way and helps spread the word and get the message out and helps me grow. And if you felt like writing me a 5-star review, that would be fantastic as well. I want to thank you also for following me on all the social media platforms. That's Right Now Rachel, right with a W. And please reach out if you have any questions or comments or guest ideas. Are you ready for some really great news? Getting together with a friend, it's not only fun, it's also great for your health and happiness. And we all know how important our dear family is. Of course we do, right? You're listening to this podcast. But our friends might prove to be even more important, especially as we get older. There was research that was published in the journal Personal Relationships that studied more than 270,000 people in nearly 100 countries. And what they found is that both family and friend relationships were associated with better health and happiness, but the benefits were stronger for people who reported friendships that lasted a lifetime. So what this means is that our friendships are more predictive of our day-to-day happiness and ultimately how long we'll live, even more so than our spousal and our family relationships can. So let's break that down. Our friends are really important to our mental health and our physical health. And you can't choose your family, but you can choose your friends. And when your friends are a source of support, you are happier and healthier and you live longer. And to have a friend, you need to be a friend. Friendship makes life worth celebrating. About a year ago, last March 2020 to be specific, some of my oldest friends and I started a pandemic group chat. It was a means of support during such an anxiety-producing time. I never expected that a year later, it would prove to be a lifeline. My closest friendships showed me how important having these bonds was on my health and my happiness. Wanting to see if my girlfriends felt the same way I did, I was so excited when 7 out of 10 of them agreed to hop on a Zoom, and they let me ask them questions about our friendship with just a day's notice. And yes, there were husbands and kids coming in and out of our rooms, and dogs were barking, and texts and emails were dinging, and phones were ringing, and there was dinner to be made. But it didn't stop us from making time for each other and feeling all of those feels. And when we hung up, or I should say when we left the room, we felt lighter and happier and more connected. Just some of the many benefits of friendship. So I want to thank my phenomenal girlfriends, some of whom I've known literally since I was 5 years old, so for 45 years, others who I met in middle school, some who I met in high school, and some who I met in college. So these relationships span at least 30 years. I want to thank them, and they are Allison Bronson, Jill Chisever, Lauren Rajani, Jessica Sachs-Davamos, Deborah Singer, Denise Nanud, and Kim Gersey-Wills. Thank you, girls, so much for opening up and jumping in headfirst to help support me, your friend. You know what they say, old friends are the best friends.
Hi, my name is Jill Chisever, and my longest relationship with this group is probably 37 years.
Hi, my name is Kim Gersey-Wills, and my longest relationship with this group is almost 40 years.
Hi, my name is Deborah Singer. These friendships here go beyond 40 years.
Hi, my name is Allison Bronson. My longest friendship here is with Rachel for 45 years.
Hi, my name's Jessica Sachs-Davamos, and I've known most of these girls most of my life and almost 40 years for some of them.
Hi, I'm Lauren Rajani, and my friendship with these women spans close to 40 years.
Hi, my name is Denise Nanud, and my longest friendship here is 31 years.
Having friendships is so good for us.
I read a study recently that said the average friendship lasts about 16 years. It runs a cycle. And so if you've survived past that 16 years, it's like a sisterhood that can't be broken.
Let's start with the basic question. What is a friend?
Someone who has known you at your worst and helps you always be your best.
Friends see your true essence. They're there for you in the good times and the bad times. They're not afraid to tell you honestly positive things and negative things. Sometimes you need to hear negative things.
Friends are unconditional. They know you at your best and they know you at your worst. A friend is someone that is always there for you and someone that you can count on. With this group, with all the things that have gone on in the past 40 years, we've all had ups and downs. And if anyone said, I need you, I think anybody would pick up the phone and would do anything for us.
One of the most important things about a friend that I'm learning as I've gotten older is to genuinely know that somebody is happy for you or sad for you when you are experiencing something. That's a rare thing to come by, but that's when you know you've got a real honest friend, because they truly want you to be happy. And when you're happy, they feel it for you and they put their needs aside and can be happy for you.
How do you know that someone cares about you? Is they show up. They show up for your life. They show up for your good times. They show up for your bad times.
What's your favorite thing to do with a friend?
We could just hang on the couch and do nothing and stare at each other. But I love to work out with my friends, go hiking, go to dinner, just spending quality time together.
I forgot going to the spa or getting a mani-pedi.
We forgot what that's like.
One day soon. One day soon.
Sitting on the couch and giggling. You don't have to go anywhere or do anything. When you're with an old friend, the incredible memories that flood back and you let loose are fuel for so many good emotions and chemical reactions that you can feel when you're with your friends that just release all those good endorphins.
We literally could be anywhere if we're together.
It doesn't matter.
Yeah.
So true. So true.
With the pandemic, even though you can't go anywhere for a year, we haven't, it doesn't even matter because what we've done, what we've accomplished in a year and how we've done it, I think we've even gotten stronger with all our texts. Or like Lauren said, since you can't go anywhere, we've hung out at people's homes and had the best time. Now I'm kind of lazy. I'm like, can we just go to someone's house? Like to get up and get ready and go to dinner seems so difficult.
For the listeners, you mean hanging out in backyards?
Yes, each part with masks. Yes, 100%.
Right.
Or even texting or FaceTiming or Zooming. We learned in a year You don't have to go to a restaurant. You don't have to get a manicure. We've learned so many other ways that have kept us so close and so bonded. Whatever this experiment was, it really made a big impact. It even brought us closer.
Storytelling for sure. Bringing back all of these memories over the years and talking about all of the things that we used to do has definitely been a bonus for me.
I agree, especially as we have kids that are now getting to be the age we were, looking back and going, do you remember when? Do you consider your closest friends to be chosen family? And if so, why?
Most definitely. My husband always reminds me when I bitch about his sisters and brothers and parents that that's why we have the friends we have, because we've seen all the bad things that we don't want in our family and we're born into those. But our friends, we get to filter that out and find the best of what we want. And hopefully the people who mirror who we are and want to be.
I have an interesting anecdote. My birth mother and my sister, who I don't have a relationship with, they never had any girlfriends. From a very young age, they had no relationships with women. I remember they were not very nice to my Nana, my mother's mother, and my mother's sister. They were all very contentious and battled with each other. I always wondered from a very young age why they didn't have any girlfriends. So the seed was planted to not trust women. Women were bad for each other. Women were angsty. And at a very young age, I knew that I loved women and I wanted women in my life and I could learn from them. And friends at school brought a richness to my life. And I made a conscious effort to break that idea in my head because it's very important to have women relationships that aren't negative or contentious or competing. Women lift each other up and they can also tear each other down.
For me specifically, because my mom has been gone for so long, this group is very important to me because not only were you all there during that time, but you all have filled that void for me over all these years and to current days.
And we knew your mom, which is special. What is it about old friends? Tell us about a friendship that has survived the test of time.
An old friendship that's stood the test of time, even if you don't talk to that person a lot, there's something about the connection of somebody who knew you before life really took place and stuff happened and shit hit the fan and all of that stuff. It's like sitting in lukewarm water. It's just there. It's like one of those summer days before it gets really, really hot where you're outside and you're in a tank top and you don't feel the air and you're comfortable. That's what one of those friendships feels like. You don't have to work at it. You don't have to guess what you're doing. You don't have to worry what this person's going to think. You feel in your skin comfortable.
There's some people I was friends with many years ago. All of a sudden I'll see them and it's like no time has passed. You can start where you left off. And that's like our group also. Even if we don't see each other, we don't talk every day on the phone. All of us talk maybe once a week or once every other week. But wherever we are, you can pick up where you left off. And that is a true friend that knows you inside and out. And you don't have to catch up on all the other crap that was going on. You just are there for each other no matter what.
It's very easy. The old friends, everyone knows you. They know your mood. They know what you're going to like. They know when you're going to be mad. And it doesn't matter because that person's still going to call you the next day. You're still going to be invited to the next thing. You could have a crappy day or a good day. That person knows you and they're like, oh, Jill's in a mood. No one takes offense to anything. Talking with friends at work, our group that we have, not that we take it for granted, but a lot of people I know do not have this core of a group from our college friends and you guys in high school and elementary school that all hang out. They do the dinners. I don't know anybody that has a lot of friends that do things for people's birthday for over 40 years. It's very unique, so special. And I'm so happy to be a part of it. It's a blessing.
I really do think it is a blessing. I see it that way.
I remember my dad saying at a very young age, he couldn't believe that we were all still friends after college, after this, after that event. And he said, this is so special. People don't have this. And in my young mind, I was like, how can people not have this? It's so natural. I did read there are 4 types of friends: a must friend, a trust friend, a rust friend, and a just friend. We are must friends. They're like best friends, member of your inner circle, a person you can count on when something good or bad happens. So that's pretty much this group of girls. And there are a lot of us, which is the rare part of it. There's the trust friend. Someone you feel comfortable with, always glad to see, but isn't in your inner circle. The rust friend, the person you've known for a really long time, a part of your life in the periphery, but you know you're not going to get any closer. But if you see them at your reunion, you love them. It's like you never left, and then you go home and go about your life. And then the just friend is a person, which is also a friend. You see them at the school events, or you see like once a week for poker, just whatever. So there are actually scientifically 4 different types of friends, and they all matter in your life. They're all important. But this core group of girls is what keeps me going. If someone says, who are your friends immediately, I think of this core group of women.
When my mom passed away, I had 2 friends show up that I don't know what category I put them in, but they've been there since I was in elementary school. They were family friends through my mom. Their moms and my mom were friends. So we were always going to be a certain closeness, but I didn't see them all the time. Our kids weren't the same age. We didn't see each other from month to month. But whenever we saw each other, there was a closeness and a kinship. The day that my mom died, these 2 women showed up. I hadn't seen them in at least 2 years. And they literally scrubbed my house from top to bottom, made me food, and prepared the house for people who were going to be coming over for the next few days, down to polishing my silver. These are girls that don't even know me at the most intimate because I don't see them day to day, but it was like they went into overdrive. There was a special bond, and they wanted my house to look its best, and they wanted to do everything that they knew I would have wanted to do, but couldn't even think straight to take care of. And that really stuck with me because I think sometimes we take those friends for granted because they're not like us where we're together all the time, but there's something that you've lived through that creates this commonality that they're just going to show up for you. And it's surprising. And when it happens, you realize what a blessing it is.
What's the nicest thing a friend has done for you?
Picked me up off the floor when I thought my life was over. It's something that you don't forget.
This group has been there through thick and thin for me. And I don't know how I would have done it without you guys for the support. And if I didn't have you guys, I don't even know. I can't even go there to even think of it, where I'd be. But I love you guys so much. And if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't be where I am now.
You never know what's going to stay with you and what you're going to remember 25 years later. But there was a time where I was breaking up with a boyfriend who I thought I was going to be with forever. I was like 24 and completely broken and lost. And somebody here came with a moving truck and some friends and helped me move out of his house. And I remember that moment because I was so distraught. I didn't know what to do, and I didn't know how I was going to do it. I didn't expect this person to do it. I will never forget that kindness because it's one of the most pivotal moments in my life where I said to myself, wow, she really cares. I didn't want to say how much I really needed the help. And she was there.
Everyone's been there for everyone, whether you call them you're depressed or you just need some comforting. I feel like every one of you guys has done everything somehow in the past 40 years that's been wonderful or that's helped me. There's one thing I can pinpoint that Allie did when I had Tanner. Brad was out of town and I called Allie, interrupted her with the Bachelorette or Bachelor. And she met me at Cedars at 10 o'clock at night because my water broke and Brad took an Ambien and was in North Carolina or something. And she went there and she totally hung out. She came the next day. She even got to the point where she stalked her doctor who I wanted to deliver me because they're in the same practice. And my doctor was out of town and I didn't want the one on call. And Allie was like, you have to come, you have to deliver her baby. And it all worked out.
Allie's like your sister.
I remember coming to your house, Jill, and Allie was changing diapers.
That is a good friend, changing diapers.
When I was pregnant with my first child, my son Ryan, I spent 6 weeks in a hospital because he wanted out early and they had to keep him in. I was literally a prisoner in a hospital for 6 weeks, being woken up every 2 hours in the middle of the night to take my pulse, check the baby, give me medicine to stop the contractions. And then during the day, it was total chaos because I was in a delivery ward where nurses kept running from room to room to deliver babies with doctors. I was only allowed a limited amount of people, and it was just never ending nightmare. And I remember laying in bed one day thinking, God, I just want a pedicure. I hadn't even seen my feet in so long. I forgot what they look like because I couldn't bend over. I couldn't get out of bed except to go to the bathroom. And that was even limited. And I remember Allie showed up, and I don't think I even told her. She showed up with a manicure set and she came and painted my nails and cut my toenails because they were so long. They were disgusting. And I just remember thinking, my God, that is so sweet. I just couldn't believe it even popped in her head to show up and do that for me.
You're like the hospital whisperer.
Stories about Allie. anywhere. She'll come get you. You are the best friend anybody could ever hope to have.
Is the friend that everyone wants in their life.
This is not about me.
But it's about friendship. And you are one of the friends that is the glue that keeps us together. You're the one that makes sure that we have birthday parties and you lead the way. You're kind of like the ringmaster. I wanted to add to what's the nicest thing that a friend has done for you. There's so many that come to mind, but starting this podcast and feeling comfortable enough to text you guys and say, can you please comment? No one's commented yet. Or can you please like, or can you please share? Blatant coming to you, shameless. And you have all supported me and lifted me and never made me feel like I was an imposition. There's nothing like that support from a friend. Thank you for letting me be so shameless. I love you.
Thank you for giving us something to listen to. It's something great to listen to.
Oh, you're so sweet.
We're all so proud of you.
You're very cute, Denise. Thank you.
It's not an effort or an imposition when they're your friend that you love.
But my point being is I didn't feel uncomfortable reaching out and asking, hey, can you do this for me? That's another true blessing. What did our pandemic group chat show you about friendship? And how have your friendships fared over this pandemic when we've been asked to socially distance?
I don't think friendship has changed so much through the pandemic. I'm still getting texts from Deb, get on the chat right now. I'm running back from an appointment. My friends always have my back. It hasn't changed much. It's actually, in a way, even more authentic. And I'll give an example. My birthday came in August. And we were trying to figure out a way that we could celebrate. And really, it was the best birthdays I've ever had. It was karaoke with open house booties on the microphone, so we wouldn't spread germs. And it was social distance, and it was dance, and it was Kimmy on FaceTime. It was the best birthday ever, ever. The chat group was the greatest group, and it really kept us together. And I love that we've kept it going, and it connected us through hard times and talking about what's going on. That group got me by more than I would say anything in the darkest times, like when you just needed some social interaction. It was really great.
Our group chat and our multiple names during the whole pandemic, but we did have a group that was larger when we first started, and a few people just dropped off. And the core group that's still together are the ones that always talk and see each other. Examples are conversations about the pandemic, the president, the new president. There was, what show should I watch? I've watched everything on Netflix. It was just constant jokes, pictures, anything you can think of was in this chat.
There would be a time where not even 60 seconds would go by and I would look at my phone, and that one thing we're talking about, there were like 35 responses. You're like, oh my God, there's been no time. What did I miss? And I will say some of the memes that were sent, some of them, like, seriously, I almost like peed in my pants. Some of the stuff that everyone brought into the group was so great and so different. It made you forget about everything. It was like a savior to come and see. It was so nice, and we so needed it.
Not to be a downer, but we bought a house in Oregon and we moved here. And you don't know that seasonal depression is a real thing until you live in seasonal depression. There were a lot of times where it had been gray and raining for weeks on end. And I really tried to hide my feelings from my friends because I really was depressed and sad and didn't see any end to COVID and the separation between my girls in LA. And I used our text group as a reprieve for my life. And they were always funny and always entertaining. And seeing everybody support each other gave me this strange hope in my brain that things could get back to normal. And things were still normal because your core group of love was still there. And it really got me through some really hard times that you girls don't even know. But I have never laughed so hard at everybody's comments and memes, and anybody who wrote anything. There was always a response and always a joke and always an emoji, always a meme that were so funny. Debbie Singer's memes. And every time I see them, I crack up. And I think about that time on our text that we were all sharing a moment of happiness during a very dark time.
The
endless amount of knowledge I gained about the vagina during this. For me, hands down, the best. And I think we should all have vagina sandwiches when we're all done, because that picture makes me laugh.
And there's so many things you can do with the penis cake.
Yeah, but you can't have conversations about vaginas, which is impossible.
Well, you can.
With Todd, you can, but I think most guys are like, oh, keep your stories to yourself.
I don't know if we should even answer this question with our younger generation talking about cisgender and gender fluid and all of that. But thinking about the movie When Harry Met Sally, this is a group of girlfriends, but can men and women be friends?
Absolutely. I've been friends with your husband since I was 9 years old. And it's not like we have private, intimate conversations at length on the phone, but there's something between us that is special because we've known each other from prepubescence through the awkwardness of pubescence and sitting around the circle playing spin the bottle to getting married and dating and then having our own children. That definitely is a very special friendship. And obviously not all the men in my life that I'm friends with have stuck around. I had a lot more male friends who disappeared when I got married or weren't around as much. But there are certain men in your life who you definitely can call your friends that are lifelong friends, like Todd.
I love that. I will say for me, I was always that girl that had boyfriends. So I never had guy friends, but now I do. And I cherish them so much. I don't know if it's an age thing for me, but I think women and men can be friends.
It's important to have male friends, no matter if there's sexual tension or not. I have two guys that I would say are really good friends of mine. To get a different perspective when I experience something is very helpful for me. And you can't necessarily get it from your husband because he knows you in an intimate way that you want an outsider's perspective that isn't biased towards something. It certainly has helped me when I'm dealing with stuff that they can show me that maybe I'm overreacting from a male's perspective regarding a friendship. That could be with a woman.
Another friend of mine, Adam Lerner, who I've also known as long as I've known your husband, Todd, was not a friend growing up, but we crossed paths in 3 schools and knew each other at a distance. He ended up, by coincidence, becoming my husband's best friend in college. And him and I went through a major trauma together with Gilly having his accident, and that he became like my best friend. He stepped in and became an intimate friend who I could call and ask anything because we went through hell together. We walked through the fire together, and all of a sudden I could ask him any question. There was no boundaries as far as what was appropriate or what wasn't appropriate. And to this day, I can call him and have a conversation with him that is a different perspective than my husband's, that feels like a big brother in a way.
In my case, because I'm such a tomboy, like girls don't want to deal with me. And so the husbands are always the ones that want to be friends with me. My neighbor, I call her husband all the time. I'm like, I need to get up on the roof and trim my ficus hedges. Can you come with me? He's my buddy. We do stuff all the time.
My husband says, I'm going to call Denise.
I didn't see a whole lot of people during the pandemic, but Kimmy's husband came down here and he had to pick up some of their furniture. And he came to my door after moving all day. And I've never seen hair like this. He kind of looked like, I don't even know the guy's name that was married to Julia Roberts with the big hair going up. And I was like, you can't be married to my friend like that. The hair is not okay. But all I had was my dog's clippers and these food scissors, and I had just finished cooking lobster. So we had lobster scissors and dog clippers, and I had the greatest time cutting his hair. And he looked so handsome when he left, and I didn't want him to leave. Like, I wish they were here. I love Kimmy, but Carrie and I, we're like 2 peas in a pod.
He would never trust me to cut his hair with dog clippers, but Denise, no problem.
Denise can cut ficuses, so she can cut hair. Right. Denise, I have a follow-up question. Clearly, you have many friendships with men. What has this group chat meant to you? Such feminine energy coming at you. Lots of talks about vaginas.
I love it. You're my girls. I would know nothing about COVID if I didn't have you girls. Laughing at the simplest thing. It doesn't matter where we are in our life. That's what's so incredible. Like, you know, when Jill finally got a break from the kids, because there'll be like 5 texts come through at once. It's great.
Or Charlie's going to text us.
Right.
I had no idea the thread that she did with the unicorns. And then she ends with like Lucy. It's like, Jill, I think when your kids took your phone, I had no idea. When Debbie said, David's quote was like, who do you think you are, Kim Kardashian? When in 20 seconds, 50 texts come through.
Some of our friendships are going on 45 years. What's it like growing old with your friends? What are the benefits?
It's super healthy. I feel secure. Growing old puts one in a fearful state because our parents are leaving us, our parents' friends we know that we're next. We know that this is the time when people start getting sick. To break up with one of you female friends at this point would be harder than a divorce. It keeps me sane and safe. There's a natural ebb and flow to friendships. The special ones survive. We will be friends forever. And there is a security knowing that if something happened to one of our husbands, we would all be there for each other. It's a safety net.
Brad walked in to change and he keeps on hearing if something happens to her and he's walking out now.
It's hard to fart in front of my husband, but I could fart all day in front of you girls. There's a comfort where you could we can have wrinkles and we can have fat bellies and we can let it all hang out. And I still suck in for my husband a little bit, putting in a little effort to say, hey, we're still here. Even though the world has changed, we haven't. Even though the world is different, we're not.
The uncertainty of the pandemic from the moment it started, none of us had any idea what this was going to be like. But the one thing we had was each other. That we knew was there. There was no questions with all of the uncertainty of how scary this last year has been. That's the center. That's the core for me.
Do we all take up mahjong?
We have a good decade. Shuffleboard and mahjong in your 60s.
I know people doing mahjong in their 30s.
Are we doing karaoke at 70, Denise?
Absolutely. When we get together, age doesn't matter because we all feel like we're back in high school. And whether it's a spontaneous dance party or karaoke or whatever it is, collectively we're taken back. And I have a feeling even when we are in our 80s, we're going to be just as loud and just as excited to see each other.
My last birthday before COVID, we all had a plan to go dancing and we never left your kitchen for hours. And that says something spectacular when you don't even want to go out and get in the Uber because you just want to be together in a kitchen.
I cannot wait to host that again very soon.
I just want to say how lucky we all are. Being here tonight, seeing everybody's face and having this conversation has just cemented what a blessing you all are in all of our lives. And that we all have such a big core of people to go to for everything in our lives that we need and for support is just, it's kind of hard to even comprehend. It's so lucky and so wonderful.
We've literally destroyed the cultural myth that female friendships must be bitchy or competitive or angsty to exist. We have shown the world what true friendship is.
I can say something so special about every one of you and what your friendship has meant to me. And what you've given me is so beautiful and changed my life in such profound ways, supported me, been there. Every one of you right now, I literally could call at 3 a.m. and say, I need something. And I know you would be there for me. And I would do the same for you. I hope you know that.
Today has been a hard day for me. I lost a very, 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 very dear friend who I've known my whole life. His name's Rob Kurtz. And he's been sick for a while. He's like my brother's best friend. And when he got sick, it's a pandemic and you can't go in the hospital and he didn't like the food. Rob has always had a real good temper and he was just yelling at the nurses. He didn't like the food. Anyhow, my brother tells me this whole story and I call him like 2 days later and my brother works crazy and he has 4 kids and he's married and he's at home and he's telling me about this crock pot. I'm like, when did you start crocking? And he's like, well, you know, Rob hates the food in the hospital. And so I'm crocking for him. So he'll have food. And he would go there twice a week, Wednesday and Saturday, and bring him food. He couldn't even go in the hospital. He would leave it at the front for him. That's the type of friendship we have. And it's not just with one of us, it's with all of us. And whenever one of us needs someone else, we're there. And it's not one of us all the time, but it's all of us all the time. And we're so, so fortunate because in your final days, It's those things that makes you feel not alone in this world. And when Rob was so frustrated and alone, a crock pot of food from my brother's kitchen gave him comfort in unimaginable ways. And so on that note, I thank you all for being my crockers, my people.
Denise, I'm sorry about that. I'm sorry you lost a friend. Thank you for being my crockers.
And when the pandemic was big in Vegas and I said, your dad can come live in our side apartment, I meant it.
Right.
I really meant it.
Don't do it. How many times have I gone to see your dad through this? When he couldn't get meat at the grocery store, or we just make it work.
Social ties are the key to happiness. Scientifically, we know that. We've done our own little group study here, and it boosts immunity. It cuts the risk of depression. It just makes you feel better about everything. And that is the important thing about friendship. And if it's an intimate friendship or a casual friendship, I just highly promoting friendships in general, because I do know people who aren't lucky enough to have this. And I don't know what I've done in this life or another life to be so blessed to have you girls in it. Like Jill said, we have our good days, we have our bad days. Sometimes we're bitchy, sometimes life is heavy. And it's important to cut our friends some slack, because you can get in your head during the pandemic, and other times we've all done a really good job of just let that moment go. That's also what being a friend is about, is knowing that not to take things personally. We're all doing the best we can. We're all going through our own personal stuff. And just to know that you guys are there for me, that Denise welcomes my husband anytime, that they have that friendship, that I can text Todd any question. It's just very special and important to maintain these friendships that we have as women. I've learned the longer that we live, the more important it is to maintain friendships with women. And I think the world is catching on that love is love. And we are just so lucky to have each other, no matter what the situation. And I count my lucky stars until the day that we're in diapers and in yurts. I will always be grateful for you girls.
I don't count my lucky stars for being in diapers or in yurts, but I definitely count my lucky stars to be with you, Kimmy. One of the reasons why friendship is so important is because loneliness is a pandemic. There are so many people that are lonely and they don't have friends to turn to. And one of the things that I've found, and you in particular, Kim, you may not text me back. I don't take it personally. If a friend doesn't get back to me, I'll check in again. Are you okay? I mean, that's what friends do, right? We give each other space and no judgment. I'm here when you need me. Just want to make sure you're okay.
You never, ever let me disappear within myself. That second text or that check-in always makes me snap out of. It's never a personal thing that I don't text you back. It's that I do get trapped in my own darkness of the situation, especially if you're a super social person and you feed off other people's energy and you need them to exist. When you're isolated, but someone says, hey, I'm still here, changes everything. It's probably saved my life more times than not.
Because this podcast really does focus on our mental health, it's important to bring up the fact that sometimes it's our strongest friends that seem to have everything looking picture perfect on the outside that are often really hurting. And it's important for us to check in and ask, no, really, how are you? We have that support system with one another. We know if we don't hear from somebody, then we're going to check in again and not let anyone go. What's the first thing you want to do when we're all vaccinated?
French kiss everybody.
Our fingers in each other's food.
Dance with everyone. Go dancing.
Yes.
Well, I'm going to throw the biggest party I've ever had in my life at Ojai when this is all over.
Yes.
I will be there.
We will all dance.
I will be there.
I can't wait till a Beastie Boys song comes on and we're all together and dancing in a big huddle.
Sounds good to me. I'll be there.
All right. Bye, girls. Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Love you.
I love you all.
This is Rachel Steinman. For more information or to contact me with any questions, comments, or guest ideas, please check out rightnowrachel.com. That's right with a W. Thank you so much for listening, subscribing, and sharing, dear family. And if you found value in what you've just heard, I would love and so appreciate a great review on Apple Podcasts, Stitcher, or wherever you listen to your podcasts. Until next time, I wish you love, happiness, and good mental health.